Knock knock, it's Knuckles! And welcome to the final part of the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 playthrough. And I gotta apologize because I'm starting out this part with yet even more negativity. Yes, this is Sky Chase Zone, and this is yet another level that I do not like. Again, I like most of the levels in this game, but this is one of the ones that I don't like because it's so boring. You know, I actually personally think I don't like auto-scroller levels in Sonic games, you know? I think it goes against the fundamental gameplay of Sonic. You know, because isn't the whole point to be rewarded with speed by getting good at the game? Well, you can't really do that here because there is no speed, you know? You go as fast as the screen goes. You can't slow it down, and you certainly can't speed it up. So I don't really like auto-scroller levels in Sonic games. In fact, if you try to go fast in this level, you might actually die. Yes, that's right. If you spin dash in this level, Tails might not actually catch you with his plane, and you might fall down into the bottomless pit below. In fact, that actually happened to me once when I was a little kid playing this game on that old plug and play that I mentioned back in part 1. This was actually the farthest I got in the game back in those days. One day I was just doing really good. I somehow managed to beat Metropolis Zone. I couldn't even believe I did it. I only had 1 life left, and I was on Sky Chase Zone. I spin dashed, Tails didn't catch me with his plane, and I fell down and I got game over. I didn't feel like playing the game anymore at that point, you know? I didn't want to start all the way over again from the beginning. I did try playing it again a few more times, but I never quite got this far. At least not till many years later. And oh no, Tails! My buddy! Who's totally been with me this whole playthrough. Here we are on Wing Fortress Zone. Now here's a cool trick. You go up here, somehow that fan doesn't hurt you. You want to go to the right. And once you get around here, you're going to want to get hit by that. And using your invincibility frames, you phase through it. And now, just like that, you have skipped a huge portion of the level. That's a good trick because this can be a very tough level. I know I had plenty of trouble with it. And I think there was somebody in the comments who was talking about how they were having trouble with this level. So if you are watching this video and you're the guy that commented that, well, hopefully that trick has helped you out. If you didn't already learn the trick from a different video or something. And like I said, it's a great trick because now we're already at the end of the level. Normally the level goes on much longer than that. And here we are at Eggman's Omega Laser of Doom. Who's this cow? What are you talking about? When Eggman uses his Omega Laser of Doom, which you sometimes can't even see because the frame rate is weird, it's, you know, flashing at 60 frames per second, and this is only being recorded at 30 frames per second, so sometimes you either only see the laser, or you don't see the laser at all. But when he, you know, shoots it, you want to get out of the way. Obviously, you don't want to touch the bottom of these platforms because Sonic won't be too happy with you if you do. And this is a very tough boss fight. But now that boss fight is over. And if you go to the right here, there's a very cool little hidden life right here in the cockpit of this ship. I guess that's the cockpit, I don't know. There's nobody in it. But maybe it's just a room with a bunch of windows for some reason that just happens to be right at the front of the ship. I don't know. I'm not the person who built these. Go ask Eggman what he was thinking. And speaking of Eggman, We are now headed to something that is definitely not a ripoff of the Death Star from Star Wars, to go ahead and fight what is one of the hardest final bosses in the history of Sonic. Not the hardest in my opinion. I think there are some tougher ones, but this one, it's really tough. The Death Egg Zone. This is Silver Sonic, precursor to some other robotic versions of Sonic that I won't spoil in case you haven't seen those games. I dispatched him in 18 seconds because I know what I'm doing, but he can be very tough for newcomers. But what's even tougher is this guy, the Death Egg Robot. Now, you know, something really cool happened during this very playthrough of the game. This was the first time in my life that I ever managed to actually beat this guy on my first try. I've never actually managed to beat this guy without dying before until now, and when I did, it blew my mind. I was like, holy shit, I actually did it! Felt so good. Of course, I'm taking things very safe in this fight. You can actually dispatch him a bit quicker, but you have to take a little bit more, take some more risks. Also, be careful when you're jumping into him. You don't want to hold forward. You don't want to jump through him, you want to jump to him. Because if you keep holding forward after you've hit him, you might just phase into him and hit those spikes. So you want to just be very careful about this guy. You have 0 rings, which means you can't take a single hit. And this can also be quite a tedious fight. This guy actually got remade. This fight actually got remade in a future game in the series called Sonic Generations. But it was much easier in that game. You actually have rings, and it's a bit less tedious in that game. I think you only have to hit him like 3 times in that one. In this game, you have to hit him like a ridiculous amount of times. Like, I don't even know how many it is. Certainly more than 8, which is some normal number for all the other boss fights in the game. Don't quote me on that. Maybe it is 8. Anyway, is this the last hit? Hell yeah, it is. Like I said, it felt totally awesome to beat this guy first try. And Sonic runs out of the exploding battleship like a boss. And from there, we are treated to one of my favorite endings in all of Sonic. Tails sees his buddy falling down from the sky. He knows he's not gonna make it. So he goes and he gets in his plane and he heads out there to rescue him, with this awesome, beautiful music playing in the background. I remember when I first got to this ending, I felt so good because, you know, I got through this game that I've been playing for so many years for the first time. And in case the rest of the game hadn't already done it, this ending definitely cemented this game as my favorite in the series, and it stayed that way for several years. And this is another reason that I don't even bother trying to get the Chaos Emeralds in this game, because, like, I feel like this is the better ending. If you get the Chaos Emeralds, then there's no reason for Tails to actually fly up there. He doesn't even catch Sonic because Sonic actually can fly as Super Sonic. He just turns into Super Sonic and flies next to Tails in that ending. So, if you needed more reasons not to even bother with those super duper tough special stages in this game, well, there's another reason for you. You get a better ending if you don't. And that concludes the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 playthrough. I hope you all enjoyed it. I certainly did. And thank you to all these developers that we're seeing right now in the credits for creating this absolute masterpiece of a game. In my next playthrough on this channel, I will be doing Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles. But first, I'll be releasing yet another episode of Sonic Fan Game Reviews. This time we're going to be looking at a game called Sonic 2020. So I hope you're excited for that. And now I am headed back to Angel Island to protect the Master Emerald. Oh, one more thing before I go. Feel free to check out my other channel, Epic Zacko. Me and my friends Troy and Chris have made some really cool action-packed superhero films on that channel. So feel free to check it out if you're interested. It would be greatly appreciated. Alright, now I'm headed back to Angel Island, but I will see you again next week. Have a great one.